Okay. Hi team, good to see you. I just want to do a quick video here just explaining something that I've done that I think is kind of cool, right? So this is in Claude. I'm using Claude as the AI of choice at this particular point. And what I thought, because I saw a colleague do this and I thought this was kind of cool. So I have grabbed my exam paper and mark scheme, right? This is for IB Economics. This is for IB Economics paper 2. And I put it in here as an expert IB Economics examiner and teacher and an expert at interactive and engaging websites. I wanted it to build for me a app, right? A website, an app, okay? So it then read through the paper and figured it all out. I then gave it a link here to an example site and the layout, so an app that, as said, a colleague had created, and it was one that I wanted to be basically copied, right? But for IB Economics and particularly for IB Economics paper 2. I then wanted the work that the students were doing to be recorded so that I could then get a feedback from the app as to how well they did. So it then started building it here. You see this is all the build, right? It then asked me about hosting it as an HTML. And it talked about using Netafly, right, or GitHub. Now I used GitHub and I did follow the instructions, created a repository, uploaded the HTML file, and I got a few issues with it. Right, I created a Google Sheet to put the results in, and as it did that, there was an error. Right, so then I told it, I did a screenshot, told it what the error was. It then told me how to fix it. All right, so I then copy and paste the code in. That fixes it. Okay. It then syncs to a Google Sheets, so I'm able to then see the results from the students. The app is supposed to remember the students so that it can, when they go back to the app later on, it will then remember them and pick up where they left off. So that's kind of cool, right? I wanted to know how to upload it. It gave me instructions, how to upload it, how to create a repository, how to get the live URL, right? And then I had some more issues with it, as you see. All right. It came up with an error code, so I did a screenshot, put the error code in there. It diagnosed the error, told me how to fix it. Add in this code, okay? Then I had another error, all right? Told me what the problem was. We went in and we fixed it with an API key. All right, gave me the information there. How do I get an API key? That was something I wasn't aware of, so it told me how to create an API key. So this is all me within the Claude environment, trying to create this app, having issues, but then Claude is telling me how to fix each issue as it comes up. Okay. We then created a Versal site, which created a dashboard for it, and that's where the app was then hosted. All right. Okay, with an index, etc., that linked. I still was having issues. It was coming up with the solutions. All right. Now, eventually, we got to a point where we figured out that I had titled one of the files wrong. All right. So after all of this, okay, I had to go back to the GitHub. I had to change the titles. I had to tell it that the type of Claude that I was using, and it would then figure out what the problem was based on the type of Claude I was using, so whether it was using Haiku or a different model. All right. And eventually it came up with the actual app. Okay, so I'm going to click on the app button and see if it will open. Right. So here is the I'll show you what the HTML looks like. That's what the HTML file looks like. It's quite extensive. But this is what the app looks like in and of itself. So as said, they will put a preferred name in. So not their actual name, not their email address. It's not going to record that information, just their preferred name, which is generic enough that it's not necessarily privacy concerns, right? Don't have to worry too much about that. It is specifically tailored to this particular paper, and maybe in the future I can look at changing that. And so they put in their name. So for example, I just put in test, all right, and it comes up with this. This is the dashboard. Well, this is what they see. It will record how many parts of the question that they have answered, how many marks that they have earned, and their progress throughout the whole thing. And then it's got a progress bar, and also it records how many reattempts that they do. So they pick a question here, right? So this is based on this case study. Define the term, so tariffs, and then it will get them AI feedback. Now it can't do it connect to the AI examiner at the moment because I'm operating inside of Claude as opposed to inside the actual app itself, but it does actually connect to the AI, and it does give them feedback. It gives them feedback, it gives them suggestions as to how to improve, and then it gives them an additional button when they can actually resubmit their work, which is really quite cool. It gives me as the teacher, if I go back to the dashboard, it gives me as the teacher the option of actually exporting the results. So however they've gone in their different areas, I can actually export the results. I can also reset all of the progress as well. Right? So I can export it, and it will then ask me, do I want it as a CSV file, which I can possibly download as a CSV file, open it in Excel or Google Sheets, or even put it into a Google site and have it as in part of a Google site perhaps as well, or put it in as a PDF report that I can then use with regards to talking to parents about how their child is progressing. So I thought that was a really cool dashboard app that I created using Claude. Now, as said, I went through a lot of iterations. It took a few hours. It took about 3 hours to actually complete all of this, and I had to go through Versal and I had to go through GitHub. Those were the two other sites. They're up here. So that's GitHub here, and that is Versal there. And I had to use those and then figure out what a repository was, where to put the different files within it. I had to copy the code a few times and put it in when they made changes to it. It had to then link back to my Claude account in order to make the connection between the two. But now that it is an independent app, it is actually kind of independent of Claude, right? But it is hosted over there in the Versal site over here, right? Which I think is pretty cool. And what I'm planning then to do is to then add another paper 1, maybe add a paper 3 to it, and have those, and then maybe try and develop it so that it will pick the questions from the papers but modify them so that they're not getting the same questions each time. I think that would be a clever way to do it as well. So I thought I'd show you that and the journey that I went on to create this. It is a really good idea, and I thoroughly encourage you to have a go. See if you can have a go at this. Yes, I have obviously used Claude, and yes, I pay for Claude, but it may be that your school or department are able to pay for that subscription. All right, thank you very much for listening. Hei kōrera, have a fantastic day. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It always helps.